and I get it. We are
Because
recording.
right at 7 o'clock, your recording started automatically, Frank.
I got Go figure. We are recording. We're
Mhm.
here. Behave yourselves. Be nice to each other. No, Toby Beth says no. Did anyone have a win this week? Go, Toby Beth.
I had the delight and pleasure. It was, it wasn't this week specifically, but it is a big win for me. I had the delight and pleasure of being invited to be the keynote speaker for our local chapter of the American Business Women's Association 2 weeks ago. And I spoke on empowerment and intentional activities, and balanced success. And it was an extremely rewarding keynote, if I do say so myself. And there was quite a few people in the room. And as a keynote speaker that's powered by Zig Ziglar, of course, and Frank can attest to this as well, we always ask the room, have you ever heard of or who has ever seen, in my case, Zig Ziglar? And much to my surprise, delight, I would say 90% of the room's hands went up. So that was fabulous. That was a big thing. Anyhow, the results um, was such that I've been invited to explore nationally speaking for the American Business Women's Association next summer at their national conference. It was too late to get in on it this year, and have had some I had some great conversations with a few women, especially their current president, who was just reelected. And out of that, my core circle of colleagues within the Ziegler family, we meet twice a month for a coach's mastermind, among other things. And I was invited to present my keynote to my coaching colleagues, which is as Frank can also attest to, is a huge win for a coach moving forward in a relatively, well, I won't say new, but newer community of like-minded individuals. So that was a pleasure. That was actually my big win for me over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, congratulations, Toby Beth. You know,
Thank you.
you and I have known each other for quite some time, and you've
Yes.
come a long way with what you're doing. And I am pleased to have had a part of that, and in you making decisions on where you are going. And I think we're the thing we want to remember is we're all here to help other people,
Correct.
whatever that looks like. We're all here to help other people. And
And
go ahead, Toby Beth.
I'm sorry. And if everybody will give me a little grace for 30 seconds, I'm going to embarrass Frank. Part of my keynote is my personal story because I find it extremely relatable to empowerment and balanced success. And when I talk about my transformation and how it began, I tell everybody that it started with just one conversation because I reached deep down inside of me, and with what little courage I had left inside of me, I reached out for help and found somebody that after just one conversation, I was able to identify my purpose and my why.
Yeah.
That was Frank, in case anybody missed that reference.
I think we got that. That is so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. That is just really fantastic news.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Toby Beth. And what was interesting is Toby Beth and I had known each other for years prior to that conversation. And it happened in a place called Panera Bread. And we spent a little over an hour together. And we had a very authentic, transparent conversation. And I am so happy to see where she's come. I know where she was. I know where she is now. And the fact that she's even in this room, I don't consider Zig Ziglar a competitor. I think of Zig Ziglar an option, and I think Napoleon Hill is an option. I think Tony Robbins is an option. I think Brian Tracy. Well, maybe, yeah, Brian Tracy's still there, an option. There are all kinds of options out there, What I encourage everybody to do is find what works for you. Where do you connect? And how does it fit? So it's called, Jim Rohn calls it a philosophy. Figure out what is your philosophy. And if you can figure out what your philosophy is, then there's never a question on how you implement the methodology of what you do to help people. You just got to figure it out. And it might be Zig, it might be Napoleon, it might be Jim Rohn, any of those things. The bottom line is, we're here for one reason and one reason, or at least I am. I want to inspire and possibly impact the lives of others. That's a pretty simple philosophy. It's what I want to do. So how do I do that? I figure it out. And I follow the messaging that connects with me. Now, for me, I connected with Napoleon Hill because in my mind, it's the source. That's where everything came from. That's where it started. He's the grandfather of personal development. And everything else that came after that built upon that. But I'm a Marine, and I believe in foundational principles. So figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to do it. And I would say for me, and I'm going to speak for Toby Beth, if somebody wants help getting started, doing things to serve your community, then reach out to us. Raise your hand and say, hey, I want some help. And we're more than happy to help. Toby Beth and I were friends for a long time before she asked me for help. And I was honored to be able to do that for her. So that was an awesome thing. So anyone else have a win? All right, here we go. So once again, now some of you, Nicole, you might be one of them. Hey, Sean, good to see you back here, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Lynn's off camera today. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because you're here, Sean. I'm not sure why. But so here's how the game plays. We're in the middle of the book, Outwitting the Devil. And I have been chosen to play the role of the devil. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So the yellow highlight when I share the screen, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to share the screen, desktop 2, share. Here we go. Can you all see my screen?
We can.
Good. All right, we're good. So it starts with Napoleon, who is highlighted in yellow, is asking a question. I need someone to play the part of Napoleon. I can wait.
You want me to pick it up, Frank?
Bindu just picked it up. We'll let Bindu do some, Sean. I'll pick you up a little bit later in the time, okay? All right.
Okay.
Bindu, here we go. You got it. Start with Isman.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Is man the only creature who drifts?
Yes. All other creatures move in response to definite laws of nature. Man alone defies nature's laws and drifts when he wills. Everything outside the minds of men is controlled by my opposition, by laws so definite that drifting is impossible. I control the minds of men solely because of their habit of drifting, which is only another way of saying that I control the minds of men only because they neglect or refuse to control and use their own minds.
This is getting to be pretty deep stuff for a mere human being. Let us get back to the discussion of something less abstract. Please tell me how this drifting habit affects people in the everyday walks of life, and tell me in terms the average person can understand.
I would prefer to keep this interview up among the stars. No doubt.
No doubt.
I'm sorry.
No doubt you would. That would save you from being exposed. But let's come back to Earth. Tell me now what drifting is doing to us as a nation here in the United States.
Frankly, I may as well tell you that I hate the United States as only the devil can hate.
That is interesting. What is the cause of this hatred?
The cause was born on July 4th, 1776, when the 56 men signed a document which destroyed my chances of controlling the nation. You know that document as a Declaration of Independence. Had it not been for the influence of that damnable document, I would now have a dictator running the country, and I would stop this right to free speech and independent thought that is threatening my rule on earth.
Am I to understand from what you say that nations controlled by self-appointed dictators belong in your camp?
There are no self-appointed dictators. I appoint them all. Moreover, I manipulate them and direct them in their work. Nations run by the dictators know that they want and take it by force. Look what I have done through Mussolini in Italy. Look what I have done during the Hitler in Germany. Look what I am doing through Stalin in Russia. My dictators run those nations for me because the people have been subdued through the habit of drifting. My dictators do no drifting. That is why they rule for me, the millions of people under their control.
What would happen if Mussolini, Stalin, and Hitler turned traitors and disavowed you and your rule?
That will not happen because I have them too well bribed. I am paying each of them with the sop of his own vanity by making him believe he is acting on his own account. That is another trick of mine.
Let us come back to the United States and learn something of what you are doing to convert people into the habit of drifting.
Right now, I'm paving the way for dictatorship by sowing the seeds of fear and uncertainty in the minds of the people.
To whom are you carrying on your work?
Mainly through the president. I am destroying his influence with the people of causing him to drift on the question of working agreement between employers and their employees. If I can induce him to drift for another year, he will be so thoroughly discredited, I can hand over the country to a dictator. If the president continues to drift, I will paralyze personal freedom in the United States, just as I destroyed it in Spain, Italy, Germany, and England. All right, so here's where a third party typically comes in. April, would you take this part, please?
In 1938, when Hill was writing this manuscript, the president was Franklin D. Roosevelt. Are the devil's comments applicable today? Do you think Hill might write the same words today as he wrote 70 years ago?
Whoa, what a great question, right? So this was back in the 1920s, 70 years ago. Does this apply today? Anyone have any comments?
Yes. You just change the people's names from Mussolini to maybe Putin or a Zelensky or a Trump. You can just interchange the words.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, isn't it ironic how history repeats itself? And here's where, for me, being completely transparent, because this is not a political conversation. To me, this is a personal responsibility. We have a responsibility to share what we're reading, what we're studying, and helping other people be kind to each other, lead each other, support each other, and just, I don't know, it's kind of ironic, right? Can't we all just get along? Really? I mean, seriously. Emmanuel, you have a comment. We go for it.
Yeah, I think when I look at this, we have read, especially with the context of Africa, with the level of natural resources people have and the level of suffering of the people and some of the countries led by dictators, you find it still applies even today in different parts of the world.
Yeah, this is an ongoing situation. And, here we're reading, we got the devil, we get Napoleon with his philosophy. But isn't it true that those who are unable to think for themselves, those who are unwilling to stand up and defend that which is right because of fear, if we don't do that, everything falls apart. What's your mission? Why are you here? Why are you studying this material? Is it for personal development? Is it for personal development as it is for me to help other people to take control of their lives? I mean, at the end of the day, Napoleon Hill talks about in many of his writings, we have but one control, and that's the control of our minds. And if we choose to take control of our minds and make our own decisions and make our own efforts to help and serve others, then that's fine. But if we neglect that, then we're leaving our mind to fall under somebody else's control. And when we do that, we're just drifting. We're just following the leadership. We're following what we're told. I was coaching with some agents the other day. I said, we sit here and we go to school, we get our education. So what are we doing? We're learning what we're being told to learn. We're doing what we're being told to do. And then we go out and get a good job. And then we're being told what we need to do at that job. And then we just follow the rules and we just kind of keep moving forward. And it's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's not us making the decisions. It's somebody else making the decisions. So at some point, my perspective, we need to make a stand and make our own decisions. Somebody said to me this afternoon, actually, it was just this afternoon, well, I'm just doing what I have to do. Well, who said you had to do that? Whose rules? Are they your rules or their rules? And I'm not saying that we should break rules because there's common stuff that we should be following. Just kindness to others, treating people as equals. What you sow, you get back, right? And so somebody else shouldn't tell you what your goal is. Somebody else shouldn't tell you how you should live. Somebody else shouldn't tell you what life is supposed to look like. What do you want life to look like? Lynn, you just came on camera. I'd love to see you. You got some new headphones. Nice look. You look like a pilot, World War II pilot.
I'm not bugging Mario. He's watching television. We just finished dinner. I figured, you know what? He needs to have some time.
Absolutely. Give him his time. Put your headphones on. Just deal with it.
Okay. I'm back. I'm back.
All right. Anyone else have any comments or anything they want to share at this point? Yolena, it's good seeing you here tonight, hon. Yolena, how many months has it been since we first met?
Probably close to 6, I think.
6
maybe.
6 months. This is good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. We met by accident, I think. All right. Anyone else? No comments. We're going to move on with the questioning from Napoleon to the devil. Go ahead and take it. Bindu, take this part.
What you say leads me to the conclusion that drifting is a weakness which inevitably ends in failure, whether among individuals or nations. Is that your claim?
Drifting is the most common cause of failure in every walk of life. I can control anyone whom I can induce to form the habit of drifting on any subject. The reason for this is twofold. First, the drifter is just so much putty in my hands to be molded into whatever pattern I choose, because drifting destroys the power of individual initiative. Second, the drifter cannot get help from my opposition because the opposition is not attracted to anything so soft and useless.
Is that why a few people are wealthy while the majority of people are poor?
That is exactly the reason. Poverty, like physical illness, is a contagious disease. You find it always among the drifters, never among those who know what they want and are determined to get just that. It may mean something to you when I call your attention to the fact that the non-drifters, whom I do not control, and those who possess most of the wealth of the world happen to be the same people.
I have always understood that money was the root of all evil, that the poor and the meek would inherit heaven, while the wealthy would pass into your hands. What have you to say? What have you to say of that claim?
Men who know how to get the material things of life generally know how to keep out of the hands of the devil as well. The ability to acquire things is contagious. Drifters acquire nothing except that which no one else wants. If more people had a definite aims and the stronger desires for material and spiritual riches, I would have fewer victims. April?
The actual verse of the Bible talks about love of money, not money itself. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6:10.
So what did we get out of that last little segment there? Anyone have any comments about what we just read and how it impacts all of us? Oh, I have silent players tonight. We're not going to accept that. Go, April.
Okay, I like the poverty is a contagious disease because they say you are like the five people that you hang around. And you got to think what like someone like myself, someone like Tony, we grew up in a very small town. Our county was very poor. I mean, all the kids got free lunch type deals. And when kids grow, I mean, I was fortunate enough because my mom had brothers and sisters that lived outside of the county. We got to travel. We got to go to Texas. We got to go to Virginia. So we saw what it looked like across the county line per se. A lot of those kids don't. Don't want to say that they're stuck there, but that's what they're taught and they don't know any better. And it is kind of like a disease. Once one person gets the flu, the whole batch has it. So if you don't have anybody to teach you, if you don't have anybody to show you, I think I think it's a handicap. So it's kind of like a disease. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, April, because what I just heard was we need to be shown a different way. And if we're not, Jim Rohn actually quoted, "We are the sum of the five people that we associate the most."
Hmm.
And so, who are you hanging out with? Who do you spend your time with? Who do you have conversations with? Misery loves company is the comment that I remember hearing as I was growing up. Misery loves company. So if you're miserable, just find more people that are miserable and you can all commiserate with each other. You can all be miserable together. All right. So what if we were shown a way that there's an answer to get out of the rut that you're in? I think it's just today I was listening to Earl Nightingale and he said, a rut is just a smoothly grooved out grave with the ends kicked out because we fall into habits that cause us to not achieve the things that we could achieve because we don't see any other way out of it. We're just in a rut. We've all heard that term. We're in a rut. Well, get out of the rut. It's your choice. Get out of it. Find a way to crawl out and go in a different direction. So hang out with people who are positive, supportive. The mastermind group is very important in Napoleon Hill's work. We find people that are like-minded, positive, that want to achieve success, positive, and will support each other without competing against each other to achieve a mutual goal. That's a pretty cool way to look at things. Toby Beth, I see your hand up. Go for it.
I got a thought come to me, Frank, as you were talking about being in a rut. Even records have evolved. There are no more ruts for records because there are no more records. Anyway, we can have a discussion on that another time. The whole drifting, drifting is a common issue, and it is a very typical human behavior that we drift, because we don't take the time to identify what our purpose is, what our why is. We just go about doing day to day the mundane things, living in our rut with our heels kicked up at the end of the night, like you said, to borrow your words, Frank. And something that hits close to home for me during my journey is a Ziegler quote. Do you want to be a wandering generality or a meaningful specific?
Yeah, exactly. So are you living your life of intention? Are you choosing where you want to go? And here's the thing, drifters simply don't make a choice. They neglect to take control of the one thing that we all have control of, which is our mind. It's the only thing that we have complete control of. So why would you give that one valuable opportunity to someone else? Why not take control of it yourself? It's your mind. Why should I control it? It's yours. So decide what you want out of life. And when I was growing up, I mean, I'm a long way from growing up now, but as I was growing up, I'm thinking people were telling me what success looked like. And I find that now at a much later age, that's not what success looks like to me. Success to me looks like what I'm doing right now, helping other people, serving other people. It's not about the money. And when I was growing up, it was all about the money. I was fortunate enough to gain some good lessons and be able to become debt free and live a comfortable life. But I don't need millions. I just need connection. It's why I do what I do. I connect with people. I care about people. And when you do that, everything, I'm going to take Zig Ziglar's quote. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll have everything you want. So who cares? Right? This is about serving and being kind to one another and supporting one another and helping one another. And don't let the devil take control. This is a book about outwitting the devil. Okay, whatever your thoughts are about that, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, this is a conversation that reveals things that we all struggle with throughout our lives. We've all been in these positions where we've had to make decisions, or we let other people make decisions for us. So take control, make your own decisions. Anyone else have comments, things they want to share with us? Why is everybody so quiet tonight? This is amazing to me. Especially Lynn. She's just sitting there with her headphones on. I can't keep her quiet ever.
I just want to hear more of this. I love what we're reading.
This is good stuff. I'm actually enjoying this
stuff.
format.
Yes.
I've never done this format before. This is pretty cool. Jolly, how are you? Oh, Stella, how are you?
Good.
I'm sorry. You're
I'm doing good.
You came on camera. Good to see you, hon.
Yes.
Everything good?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's making me think.
What are you thinking about?
Well, Lynn asked me a question yesterday and she keeps asking me the same question. So now I'm starting to not doubt it, but really think back, because she asked me what I wanted, what I really wanted. And I thought I was clear, but I guess I'm not. And so all of this is making me think. But sometimes for me anyways, like you take a certain road where what you think that's what you want. And then you go into it and it's only then that you really decide whether or not that's the road you should take, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Or you can't be 100% sure, but you have to take a chance.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take away the word chance, Stella.
Okay.
You have to take action, right? So you take action, and if the action you took wasn't exactly what you thought it was, then you get to adjust.
Yeah.
See, when you take a chance, there's an element of risk there. And I think what holds a lot of us back is we're fearful of being judged. We're fearful of being looked at like we're stupid. Why are you doing that? This is crazy. But fall if you fall to that judgment, then you don't do anything. And that's worse than making a mistake.
Yeah.
Doing nothing is worse than making. So you take an action, as Hill talks about. Don't wait for the plan to be perfect. Just figure out a plan and take those steps. You can adjust as you go along.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, you figure out, oh, okay, that didn't work. What could I do different? Now, I learned that lesson from a fellow Marine who said, don't ask yourself, what could you do better? Ask yourself, what could you do different?
Okay.
Because better suggests that maybe you made a bad judgment. No, you took action. That was the best judgment you could have made. And maybe you didn't do the correct thing in the right way or at the right time. So what could I do better? Or, I'm sorry, what could I do different? That would be the way to ask yourself and hold yourself accountable and adjust. And as we say in the Marine Corps, we just kind of tweak it. We tweak it as we go along. We figure it out because no plan is perfect. No mission is perfect. So you just kind of figure it out and then you adjust as you move forward. And another one of my mentors, John Maxwell, says, fail forward. We're all going to make mistakes when we do things. You're going to do it. Didn't work. It was a mistake. It was not failure. It was a mistake. Now, move forward. How can I do things differently?
Yeah.
But it is really, really important for us to figure out, what do you want? What's your goal?
Such a difficult question.
It's horrendously difficult. It's extremely challenging. What do you want?
I want it all.
Lynn, you're a lost cause, hon. I'm sorry. I want it all. All right. Anyone else have any comments they want to share before we move on? All right. So, Sean, why don't you take up here with the question, I assume.
Okay. I assume from what you say that you do not claim fellowship with the industrial leaders. Evidently, they are not friends of yours.
Friends of mine, I'll tell you what sort of friends of mine they are. They have belted the entire country with good roads, thus bringing into close communion the people of both city and country. They have converted ores into steel, with which they have built the skeletons of great skyscrapers. They have harnessed electrical power and converted it into thousands of uses, all designed to give man time to think. They have provided through the automobile personal transportation to the humblest citizen, thus giving to everyone the freedom of travel. They have provided every home with instantaneous news of what's happening in all parts of the world through the aid of radio.
And now television, smartphone, satellite, and internet.
Gotta love it. Progress. Go on, April.
They have reared libraries in every city, town, and hamlet and have filled them with books, giving to all who read a complete outline of the most useful knowledge mankind has gathered from his experiences. They have given the humblest citizen the right to express his own opinion on any subject, any time, anywhere, without fear of molestation, and they have seen to it that every citizen may help make his own laws, levy his own taxes, and manage his own country through the ballot. These are but some of the things the industrial leaders have done to give every citizen the privilege of becoming a non-drifter. Do you think these men have helped my cause?
Whoa. That's open for conversation. What do you think, guys? Is all of this? Yes.
There was this series that was on the History Channel a couple of years back. It was called The Men That Built America. And it actually
Yes.
went with the first part where there was like Carnegie, he was the guy with the steel, Edison with the light bulb, Ford, and they touched on all of them. But one thing that jumps out at me was even though these men did good, like with advancements, and Carnegie wanted libraries, one thing I noticed is they were responsible for the Johnstown flood. It was the Gilded Age where there was like they were the first, you could call them billionaires and stuff like that. And they did leave their money, like with Rockefeller, to help people and stuff like that. But you had the Homestead riots, which Carnegie, people died with that. He might have wanted to give them a library, but he was paying people that were working in steel plants, like not even minimum wage. And it was, it took a lot. It took Congress to come up with some laws, that kind of helped that a little. And I see that today too with like different ones. The new men that are building America or building the world would be your, what do you call it? Oh God, the guy from Amazon and, Apple,
Yeah.
Tim Cook,
Jeff
things like
Bezos,
that. So I
Jeff
think
Bezos, sure.
yeah, I think they do good, but there's also a little bad in them too. So I guess that's what jumps out at me.
I love it. I would hope to think that some of the folks in modern day, they're not trying to be bad; they're just trying to be profitable, right? And so that's perceived differently by many of us. But obviously, everybody should be paid a just fee for what they're doing, for the work that they're doing. But yeah, I think what the devil is saying here is all of this technology, all of this prosperity, all of this progress that we're making makes our lives easier and simpler. And because it's easier and simpler, we have more time to drift. So there once was a time, and of course I wasn't there then, but there once was a time where people woke up every morning on the farm or whatever they were doing, the ranch, whatever, and they woke up at daylight. They worked until dusk. They didn't have television. They didn't have radio. They didn't have any of the technology that we have today. And so they were very limited as to what the distractions could be. Today, we have a very easy life compared to what they lived. And we have a million more distractions to cause us to not stay focused on our definite major purpose. In fact, in the room that we have right now, this evening at 7:40 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 11th, who here has a definite major purpose? You don't have to raise your hand. Who here has a definite major purpose? And how are you staying focused? I'm actually going to stop the share right now because this is a good place. If I can get my cursor down. Here we go. This is a good place to have a conversation. What distracts you from achieving what you want to achieve? Which
all the
element?
modern, all the modern conveniences. I was just writing in my book as you were speaking, Frank, all the modern conveniences are often referred to as the devil's work. All designed, all designed to keep us from not drifting, to focus on our purpose, our definite major purpose, or, whatever format.
I mean, it's what do you want? I mean, it's just simplify it. It's what do you want?
But I mean, we live on this convenience right here, this Zoom.
We got it right here. We don't have to drive anywhere to do what we're doing right now.
So
is it the
devil's work? Is it the devil's work?
No. You know what? I think it only becomes the devil's work if we allow it to be.
That's it. Those are the words.
It's a matter of choice, right?
Yep.
So I look at this meeting every Wednesday, this mastermind. This is a freaking mastermind, right? This mastermind is an opportunity for people from all over the country, all over the world, to have conversations about stuff that's important to all of us. It has no political connection. It has no religious connection. It has none of that. It just has, hey, look, we got 8 people in the room and a couple of notes people. We got 8 people in the room having a discussion. By the way, thank you for showing up on camera about stuff. And we're all different ages. We're at all different places in our lives, but we're all interested in something different than what we currently have. Something different. So how can we help and support each other to get what we want to achieve?
Agreed.
Right? Agreed. It's just what it is. So engage. So our CEO, Cleona O'Hara, loves to say in these types of situations, hey, we're not here for entertainment. We're here to support and help each other, to engage with each other, and do the thing, to take action for what we want. Everybody in this room right now, every camera that I'm looking at right now, I have known, except for maybe Sean, it's only been a couple of weeks, I think, maybe a month for Sean. Everyone in this room I've known for a little bit longer than a couple of months. Some of them close to a year. Lynn, you're over a year. Why are we still here? Right? We're here to figure out the support system. A mastermind is a support system. It's sharing, feeling comfortable sharing things that, I had a conversation today with an individual that I thought was stiffing me on an appointment on Zoom. That individual never apparently got my message confirming the appointment. And I sent a text message. And that text message was responded to immediately. Wow. I'll be right there. And that individual was in the time that I sent that text message, was actually at the same time sending me an email message wondering why I was ghosting her. And I wasn't. She just didn't get the message. And we spent 45 minutes today sharing what she was going through. Supporting, helping, engaging, not being distracted by all of this technology stuff. Because we can drift because we have escape routes. So I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, I get my English muffin, I sit in front of my computer, and damn it, the first thing I do is put on YouTube and watch last night's news. I thought I gave up news. And I catch myself within 30 minutes of, why am I watching this? I could be reading one of my books. I could be sitting outside enjoying my view. I could be doing other things to improve myself rather than watching last night's news. Right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, guys, about the distractions and stuff? How do you control it?
Can I talk?
Lynn, there's no doubt you can talk.
For me, and I've come to the realization, I need coaches. And without a coach, I will not get ahead because I am so content where I really am. And what I learned through Cleona and some of the people in NHI, when you're content, even though you want to do all these things around you, it's like, I'm happy, I'm content. However, there's a few things that I know needs to get out there. I really do. And I know that I'm just more. I can do more. I know I can do more. I can, and without coaches, I'm not going to get there because I just oscillate and go back, you know.
Yeah, Lynn, thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times, many of us think we can just kind of do this stuff alone. And most of you know I'm a retired Marine. Sean, I think you're a retired police officer, correct?
Fireman.
Yep.
Yeah, cop and fireman.
Yeah, cop and fireman. And we're accustomed to lives of discipline. And but there's one thing that we understand is none of us do this alone. It's all teamwork. It's all support. And yet, for many of us, because we are content, we're comfortable, we don't have to worry about putting food on the table. We live a good life. We want more, but the hunger is not there anymore, right? I mean, you got to be hungry. I can't remember who the speaker is, but you got to be hungry. You need to know what it is that you want to do. So, how do you want to serve? I'm actually preparing a presentation for my local veterans about the purpose of our organization. So I'm a past commandant of the local Marine Corps League, and I'm happy with how we've grown, but I'm not happy with how we serve. And so I have a presentation in July about how we can serve and why we should serve, and what are you willing to do for that. And so we don't do these things alone. We don't achieve what we want alone. And I have found, I would love to hear other people's interpretation. I have found that if I stop worrying about any income whatsoever, I expect nothing from what I do, and just serve, it's easier. I'm comfortable. I'm not doing what I do to become more comfortable or more wealthy or more anything. I'm just doing what I do to serve the needs of other people. And that makes it easier for me. How about you guys? What are your thoughts on that?
That's your
Go, Lynn.
That's your personality, and that's your upbringing. And from my point of view, I know that's the kind of people that I need around me to get me to where I want to go. I married a man who is amazing. He really is. However, he does everything himself. And he's the type of person that'll say, "Oh my God, you can't," he'll do it himself. "I can't count on you because I have to do it," you know? And it was interesting because something hit me very hard the last week. There was and it's like he's not a teacher to help us go. It's like and that's who he is. He's a one man person. He's got just a few people around, but he gets things done. And it bothers him if other people don't get it done the way he does or doesn't work how he does. And we're not all workers like that, but we can still get things done. We all know he had a heart event. And during that heart event, like he has a big business, something happened that we needed some papers. And he said, "Okay, well then you get this done." I had to sign because it's my company, but he manages it. Even though it's my company, he manages. That's okay. I don't mind because he puts the money in my account. So I really don't care. It's our money. But what happened was he signed it. I signed it. And he says, "Okay, now get so and so to do it." And I said, "No, I'll take it." No, he has to have it his way. Well, it didn't get done 3 weeks later. And then when he says to me yesterday, he said, "It wasn't my fault. I got a heart attack because I would have done it. I needed to do it myself." And it really bothered me when he said, "It's not my fault. I had a heart attack." And I thought, oh my God, he's got a second chance now to learn how to delegate. Some people do not know how to delegate. I can delegate, I always have, and I love it. However, it bothers him if I delegate because he says, "Oh, you don't do anything." But he doesn't understand. Delegate is an action. It is
So
action.
If I could throw something in there, Lynn, I'm remembering a story about Andrew Carnegie. In an interview, he admitted that he knows nothing. He knew nothing about the development and distribution of steel. Nothing. He delegated everything and became the richest man in America. Right? It's surrounding yourself with people who have the specialized knowledge that can help you achieve all of the goals that you want to achieve. Toby Beth, I saw your hand go up and then come down. If you want something to add something, go for it.
Yeah, I just actually have one quick minute here, and I got to jump off to my next thing tonight.
Oh yeah,
Pride.
Ziegler Master Coach.
Actually, truth be told, quality time with my husband.
There you go.
Before he falls asleep. Pride is actually the devil's work because we teach, it's kind of a double-edged sword, pride. We teach our kids to take pride in their work. We, as adults, are encouraged to take pride in what we do and our work, but it has to stop. And I just had this discussion with the last group session I was in before I hopped into this call, and this was the discussion. Pride, there's a breaking point or a stopping point. Yes, there's always a gray area, but when it becomes the devil's work is when your pride is more about the I and the self-inflicted beliefs that you impose on others. So if we're mindful of pride, we can take pride in something, but we don't need to speak about our pride in doing a job well done. However, we cannot be too prideful as to not ask for help when help is needed the most and more. And Lynn, thank you for sharing. I appreciate your vulnerability. We're of a certain age, a bunch of us on here that come from the roots of, back in the day when, asking for help. Our parents didn't ask for help unless it was, picking up your toys. Can you help pick up the toys? No, not that kind of help, but help in, getting the bills paid or getting the car fixed or anything of that nature. That was a big no-no. But now in today's times, it is our pride in the way, and it goes with the way that most of us were raised. We don't ask for help when help is needed. We just think we can take it on ourselves, and that's where you cross into that dark area of pride. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, thanks, Toby Beth. I appreciate that. And one of the things that came to my mind as you were sharing those thoughts is, Hill talks about tell the world what you're going to do, but show them in actions first. Right? Take steps, do things, from my military background, lead by example. Show them what you're going to do before you tell them what you're going to do. In other words, he was saying, don't tell everybody what you're going to do. Do it. And the actions will show them what you're going to do. And be vulnerable, be receptive of the help of other people. We don't have to go this road alone. There are people who would love our help. And if we help them, we'll probably identify and find people who are willing to help us as well. Right. So it's being vulnerable, being receptive, being willing to support and help others. Go ahead, Lynn.
I have a question for Toby Beth. Oh, did she leave?
Yeah, I think she jumped. She had to go spend time with her husband.
I know she did, but I have a question for her.
Well, she's gone. So post your question. We'll see if we can help you out. Yolena probably has an answer.
Well, I was just wondering the way she was saying that, they tell us, our parents, they did everything and they didn't really show us how to do it. They did. And then after, when they expect us to do it and we don't know how to do it, we're kind of afraid because we don't know how to do it. Is that part of procrastination in there in a way? Because we don't want to feel that we're letting them down, but then we're afraid to ask them because they've never taught us how to do it. And if they teach us, sometimes they yell at us instead of showing us. I don't know. Toby Beth just
Fear.
kind of.
Is she here?
Is she there?
Fear.
No, that was Stella.
Oh,
It's
So,
me.
what's ironic, Lynn, is what you just said. I was listening to Earl Nightingale this morning on my walk, and he was talking about a father speaking to his son. Why don't you just grow up? And the son, with tears in his eyes, responded with, "That's what I'm trying to do." Because where we are today, we've learned lessons, we've done things, and now we expect the people coming behind us should learn it quickly without realizing we didn't learn it quickly. We just know it now because we're older, we're further down the road. So when you say to someone that's young, maybe 7 or 8 years old, "Emmanuel, why don't you just grow up?" And Emmanuel says, "That's what I'm trying to do. I need your help." Right? And so I think what you're asking, Lynn, is sometimes when we get to a certain point in our lives, we have expectations that don't fit those who we're trying to lead. We have to understand they're looking to us for guidance and advice, not expectations of being perfect when we have 20 years more experience than they do. I don't know. Does that make sense? I mean, Emmanuel, you work with youth in what you do. What's your perspective on that?
He's muted. Okay.
That he knows. He's trying to figure it out. There we go.
Yes. Yeah, I think really my perspective, I would say that the way the young people they view life in general is different from adult, and I think the more we grow, the more we tend to understand life from different ways. And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, and with my work with my youth, I've seen there is always that kind of generational conflict because they have got their own understanding of reality and what they want to do and how they want people to understand them, and the adult way they want them to take them to another level. They want them to reason from another level. They want them to be more responsible, but that is not how they see things and how they want people to understand them.
Yeah. I love that. It's almost like you're expecting more than what they were able to give you right now because they haven't matured, right? They haven't learned, they haven't experienced. And so, I think for those of us that are further down the road, trying to lead, trying to be the light, trying to help people, help our communities, help our world, our universe to be a better place, we have to understand we have knowledge they don't have. And so we have to hold their hands and walk them down the path, which is what Andrew Carnegie was doing when he challenged Napoleon Hill to create the science of personal achievement. He said, "I have all this knowledge, and so many other people have this knowledge. And unfortunately, when we die, that knowledge dies with us. We need someone to put together a philosophy that will be able to help the average person in our country to do the things that we've done because of the knowledge that we've gained over the years that have passed." All of us have something that we can share with others younger than us to help them walk down the path, learning from our mistakes, learning from our successes. So when we're doing what we do, whatever your reason is for being here in this book study, whatever your reason is for studying personal development, how can we help those that are coming behind us? We're not getting younger, we're getting older, and they're coming behind us. So let's leave some breadcrumbs for them. Let's spend some time with them, sharing this knowledge that we're talking about in these rooms on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. Who can you share this with? As Cleona said, I mentioned it earlier, we're not here to entertain. I'm not here to educate. I'm here to communicate and facilitate being the light for the generation behind us. Because that's our future generation. So I know I'm over 8 o'clock. Actually, it's 8:02. Final comments from anybody doing the round table. April, any final comments? She's good. Yolena, you've been quiet this evening. I didn't even see any dogs today.
They're all taking naps right now, actually.
Mine's snoring right in front of my desk.
Yeah, they're act like they work all day or something.
Any comments, Yolena? Anything to add for us tonight?
I was gonna say that earlier about how you keep from um or how you stay on track. I have like a morning routine. A while ago, I read the book 5 a.m. Club,
Mhm.
and I picked up from there, and I wake up at like, well, early, let's just say. And I have a morning routine that I do, and I make sure that I don't like use my phone and I don't turn on the TV or anything, and I do this like religiously, like every morning, no matter where I am. And it's really helped me to stay on track and keep going and make sure that I keep my vision, I guess,
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah,
Commitments,
that's it.
self-discipline, and it doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it's the 5 a.m. morning club or whatever. Just
Mhm.
finding what works for you, working into your routine, creating a routine, and staying focused on your vision. You definitely made your purpose. Absolutely, great,
Yeah.
Yelena. I love watching what you're doing, and I'm happy to be part of your life, and grateful that you're part of mine. Emmanuel, anything to add? You good. Sean, you read, you didn't share today. Come on, give me something. Give me something to work with.
Okay, I guess you said staying hungry. Um,
Yeah.
I find if you get complacent, you get to a certain position, you get soft. So what I did today to kind of stay a little hard, even though I put on some weight, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I go for a drive and I go out rowing. I'm a shell of my former self, but just different things I remember as a fireman. I came to the point where I was driving a chief around, or I would drive the rig around. And when you drive the rig around, they have a wheel in front of you, and you can pull the wheel up and down because all the guys that drive the rig get really fat. But what I did is I always made sure that I would work in different positions where you would go into the fire, just not be on the outside, because that keeps you honest. So I think if you can find a way of keeping yourself honest and maybe a little bit of humble, that usually works out pretty good. So I guess that's all I got.
I love that, Sean. Integrity, being honest, being integrous with what you do. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's harder to be hard when you're getting soft as an older guy, right? Lynn, anything to add?
One thing that I learned a long time ago from a spiritual guru that we had, actually, she was Stella's guru also. And she had said to me, if you hear the word 3 times, pay attention. Well, I'm going to tell you, there's 2 words I've heard 3 times, or maybe a little bit more. And one of them is hungry. And first of all, it was on Toastmasters this afternoon. They used it. And here I've heard it a couple of times. So it's
Yeah.
3 times. No, somebody else said it. And so it came 3 times. So I have to pay attention to that. I've got to find something that I'm hungry that I want to do to do it. And the other word was complacent. I used it. They used it earlier. And here, Sean, he used it also. So I heard it 3 times. So those 2 words, I'm going to have to really work on them and figure out what it is and pay attention to those 2 things for me.
I love that,
So
Lynn. Thank you. Thank you. I think for those of us that are getting a little bit older, a little bit longer in the teeth, as they say, being complacent becomes easy because life is a little bit easier for us at this stage, for most of us. And just because we're older doesn't mean we stop learning. Doesn't mean we stop doing. We have to have a purpose, and that's one of the things. One of the topics in my presentation for my Marine Corps League, which are mostly older men and women, and it's like, what's your purpose? Why are you still here? Are you just drifting through to the end of your life, or do you have a purpose in how you can serve other people in your community? Right. So, yeah. Let's not become complacent. Stella, anything to add, my friend? You're muted, Stella. You're muted. Push the button.
Okay, thank you. It's very interesting because I find that as soon as I get bored, I was sharing that with Lynn, I think yesterday, when I was in training, and then as soon as I got bored, I found myself asking for more, and now it's wow, it's a big challenge. So, and I have to breathe through it to try to, because I'm the one that asked for it. So I was in training until September, but I asked for it in May to have more of a responsibility, and it happened. So careful what you ask for.
I was going to say, careful what you ask for, because you might get it.
Oh yeah, and I used it 3 times.
All right, hey guys, thank you so much for being here this evening. I appreciate you all. I love getting together every Wednesday. I hope I bring value to you in the conversations that we have. And I'm always here. You guys know how to reach me. My email is the email that sends you messages every week. So if you need something, if you need some help, or just want to have a conversation, please reach out. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Frank.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.